in. Throws a dagger from outside, and a timeout called by the Pelicans.
Anthony will take it and make it.
He had the shot. He had the swag. And for a while, he even had the league on notice. Carmelo Anthony was built to be a superstar, but despite the hype, despite the buckets, he never truly reached the level he was destined for. Standing 6'7", with a silky-smooth jumper, and one of the deadliest mid-range games in NBA history, Melo was supposed to be the guy, the franchise player, the future champion. But somehow, someway, the rings never came. The legacy got blurry, and the question still haunts NBA fans to this day. Why didn't Carmelo Anthony reach his full potential? Well, the answer isn't simple. It's a mix of bad timing, stubborn decisions, and a game that refused to evolve when the league did. But to really understand it, we've got to rewind back to when Melo was the future. Carmelo Anthony was born on May 29, 1984 in Brooklyn, New York. But his early life wasn't exactly the fairy tale beginning you'd expect from a future NBA legend. His father died from cancer when he was just 2 years old, leaving his Puerto Rican mother, Mary, to raise him and his siblings on her own. Life in the projects of Red Hook, Brooklyn wasn't easy. Crime was high, opportunities were low, and making it out wasn't something people planned for. It was a survival game. But even in those rough surroundings, young Melo found his escape through basketball. He used to dribble down cracked sidewalks and shoot on bent rims, hustling with a fire that didn't match his age. By the time his family moved to Baltimore, when he was 8, that fire had already started turning into a spark of greatness. But Baltimore was no safe haven either. He grew up in some of the city's toughest neighborhoods, where drugs and violence were everywhere. And yet, it was in those same streets that Carmelo learned toughness, tenacity, and heart. Not just the kind you show on the court, but the kind you need to survive off it. And it was that survival instinct that Melo took with him to high school. He enrolled at Townsend Catholic in Baltimore, where he started making noise. He wasn't just the best player on the team, he was a problem for every opponent they faced. In his junior year, he averaged 23 points and 10 rebounds, quickly gaining a rep as one of the top prospects in the country. But Melo knew he wasn't done yet. He wanted more competition, more exposure, more eyes on his game. So for his senior year, he transferred to Oak Hill Academy in Virginia, a school known for churning out NBA talent. That move changed everything. Oak Hill had national recognition and a stacked schedule, and Melo thrived in that environment. He averaged 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, while playing alongside other top-tier talent. The scouts noticed, the colleges called, and by the time the season ended, Melo wasn't just a promising kid from Baltimore, he was a full-blown 5-star recruit, ranked as the number 2 player in the nation, behind only LeBron James. But here's where things really started to heat up. Because while LeBron went straight to the NBA, Melo chose a different path again. He committed to Syracuse University under the leadership of the legendary coach Jim Boeheim. At the time, Syracuse hadn't won a national championship. The program had produced NBA talent, sure, but they'd never reached the mountaintop. Melo was expected to help them compete. No one, not even the most optimistic Orange fans, predicted just how quickly that would happen. From the moment he stepped on the court in the 2002-2003 season, Carmelo Anthony looked like a man among boys. He dominated like a seasoned pro. His footwork was smooth, his jumper was automatic, and he had a calm confidence that radiated through every play. He averaged 22.2 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists per game, all while drawing double teams on most possessions. He was carrying the whole team. But what made Melo different wasn't just the stats, it was the way he rose to the occasion when it mattered most. Syracuse entered the NCAA tournament as a 3 seed, and from round 1, Anthony was on a mission. He put up double-doubles in 3 straight games to help Syracuse reach the Final Four, including a 33-point explosion against Texas that solidified his status as a college legend. Then came the championship game, April 7th, 2003, Syracuse versus Kansas. All eyes were on Melo, and he delivered hard as heck. He dropped 20 points, grabbed 10 rebounds, and dished 7 assists, leading Syracuse to an 81-78 win and their first ever national title. He was named the most outstanding player of the Final Four, and right then and there, he cemented his place in college basketball history. It wasn't just that he won, it was how he won. Melo was efficient, poised, and mature beyond his years. He didn't need 4 years to figure out who he was as a player. In just one season, he did what entire recruiting classes failed to do: bring a national championship to Syracuse. And after that, there was nothing left to prove in college.
With the third pick in the 2003 NBA Draft, the Denver Nuggets select Carmelo Anthony from Syracuse University.
Carmelo declared for the 2003 NBA Draft, joining what would go on to be one of the most stacked draft classes of all time, featuring LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Still, even in a class that iconic, Melo wasn't just another name. He was a top 3 lock. The Denver Nuggets took him with the 3rd overall pick, and the exceptions were sky high. After all, this was the kid who just dragged a college team to the top of the mountain. The belief was simple: if he could do that at 18, what could he become in the NBA? But this is where the story starts to bend a little. Because while Melo did make an immediate impact in the league, and even looked like a future MVP in his early years, something was always missing. The wins weren't enough. The playoff runs were short. And that potential, that generational level talent, it never quite turned into the legacy everyone imagined. So what happened? How did one of the most gifted scorers of the modern era fall short of the greatness he was destined for? That's what we're about to find out. In the start, Melo came in hot. From the jump, he was putting up points like it was nothing. In his rookie season, he averaged 21 points per game, quickly proving that his game translated to the big leagues. He led the Nuggets to a 17-game improvement, taking them from 17 wins the year before to a playoff berth. Yes, while LeBron grabbed most of the headlines, it was Melo who actually made the playoffs first. That's a fact many forget. His scoring ability was so natural, so smooth, it almost looked effortless. Jab step, one dribble pull-up, catch, pivot, fadeaway, post-up, turn, splash. He made it look easy, and defenses struggled to figure him out. The Nuggets had struck gold. By his second season, Carmelo was the first undisputed face of the franchise. He averaged nearly 21 points again, solidifying his place as one of the league's best young scorers. But even though Melo was shining, the team wasn't quite clicking. Denver was good enough to make the playoffs, but not good enough to make noise once they got there. Early exits became a pattern, and pressure began to mount. Still, Carmelo didn't slow down. In his 3rd and 4th seasons, he upped his scoring average to 26.5 and 28.9 points per game, respectively. By the 2006-2007 season, Melo was officially a top 5 scorer in the league, and he earned his first All-Star selection. He wasn't just a rising star anymore, he had arrived. That same year, the Nuggets made a move that got everyone talking. They brought in Allen Iverson. From what everyone saw, it was a dream backcourt. 2 elite scorers, 2 fearless competitors. But on the court, it was chaos. Iverson and Melo both needed the ball. They both played ISO-heavy styles, and while the highlights were there, the chemistry never really clicked. The Nuggets remained a good team, just not a great one. By the time Iverson was traded away in 2008, the window had already started to close. Melo was still in his prime, still putting up big numbers, but Denver just couldn't break through. Then, in 2009, something changed. The Nuggets added Chauncey Billups, a veteran point guard who brought structure, leadership, and a winning mentality. The result was that the Nuggets went all the way to the Western Conference Finals, pushing the eventual champion Lakers in a rough 6-game series. It was the farthest Melo had ever gone, and it felt like the beginning of something bigger. But that run turned out to be the peak of the Denver era. The next season brought disappointment, and behind the scenes, Melo was growing restless. Rumors swirled like crazy. Was he committed to Denver long term, or did he have his eyes set on a bigger market? By 2011, the speculation ended. Carmelo Anthony was traded to the New York Knicks in a blockbuster deal that sent shockwaves through the league. For Melo, it was a homecoming of sorts, a return to the East Coast, the spotlight, and Madison Square Garden. And the moment he arrived, New York exploded. Ticket sales soared. Jersey sales spiked. The Knicks were back on the map, and Melo was the face of the revival. He dropped 27 points in his debut and never looked back. For the first time in a long time, Knicks fans had hope. The peak of Melo's Knicks run came during the 2012-2013 season, arguably the best year of his career. He led the league in scoring with 28.7 points per game, won the scoring title, and guided the Knicks to 54 wins and a second seed in the East. It was their best regular season in over a decade. MSG was rocking. Melo was in MVP conversations. Everything felt aligned. But just like in Denver, the success wasn't built to last. The following season saw a slow, painful unraveling. Injuries crept in. Coaching changes disrupted the whole flow. The roster got weaker. And suddenly, Melo was back in familiar territory, putting up numbers but not seeing results. Then came Phil Jackson. Hired as team president, Jackson came in with a vision, one that didn't exactly revolve around Carmelo Anthony.
Is that he is a player that would be better off somewhere else and using his talent somewhere where he can win or chase that championship. Right now we need players that are really active, can play every single play, defensively and offensively. That's really important for us.
He pushed the triangle offense, brought in Derek Fisher as a head coach, and publicly questioned Melo's style of play. The relationship was awkward from the start, and only got worse with time. Yet, through all the drama, Melo matured. He evolved from the brash scorer into a mentor for the younger players. He became the voice of reason in a chaotic franchise, and even as the Knicks kept losing, Melo kept showing up. Night after night, he gave it his all. By the 2016-2017 season, though, it was clear that both sides needed a fresh start. In the summer of 2017, the inevitable happened. Carmelo was traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder, joining forces with Russell Westbrook and Paul George. Again, it looked like it was another super team. In reality, it was a mess. Melo struggled to adapt to a third option role. His defense was exposed, his efficiency dipped, and worst of all, he didn't seem to accept that he needed to change his game. Carmelo Anthony is now infamous "Who, me?" reaction during a press conference when asked if he'd come off the bench instantly became a meme. It wasn't just funny, it was damning. Fans joked that Melo still thought it was 2013. Analysts on ESPN and Bleacher Report debated whether his ego was the biggest threat to his legacy. Articles flooded in, calling him washed, uncoachable, and stuck in the past. The Athletic published a piece questioning if Melo would ever adapt to a lesser role, while Sports Illustrated openly pondered if this was the beginning of the end. Twitter and YouTube turned the clip into content. To many, that interview was more than a soundbite. It was the closing chapter of Melo's prime. The Thunder were bounced in the first round of the playoffs, and Melo was gone after just one season. Next came the Houston Rockets, a team built around James Harden and Chris Paul. It seemed like the perfect landing spot, a veteran scorer who could stretch the floor and help off the bench. But it ended even faster than OKC. After just 10 games, the Rockets cut ties with Melo. No drama, no farewell, just gone. And suddenly, he was in NBA purgatory. For nearly a year, Carmelo Anthony didn't have a team. A 10-time All-Star, a former scoring champion, an Olympic hero reduced to waiting by the phone. The narrative has shifted. People began to wonder, was this the end of the road for Melo? But it wasn't an end, because then came Portland. By the time Carmelo landed in Portland in 2019, the NBA world had shifted. Super teams had taken over. Analytics were dominating front offices, and isolation-heavy scorers were often seen as inefficient dinosaurs. But Melo wasn't ready to fade away quietly. The Blazers gave him a shot when no one else would. Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum embraced him, and Portland quickly became a second home. In his very first game back, Melo scored 10 points, looking understandably rusty. But just a few weeks later, he was putting up 25-point nights like it was 2013 all over again. He He wasn't the same Melo in terms of speed or athleticism, but his jumper was still smooth as silk. He adapted his game, accepted his role as a role player rather than the main guy, and brought veteran presence to a young team. It wasn't just about proving the doubters wrong, it was about proving to himself that he still belonged in the league. He stayed in Portland for 2 seasons. He came off the bench, gave instant offense, and sometimes even closed games. In 2021, he passed multiple legends on the all-time scoring list, making it clear Melo's legacy as one of the game's most gifted scorers was undeniable. He finished that season averaging over 13 points a game in just 24 minutes, which for a 36-year-old former superstar was impressive. Portland might not have made a deep playoff run, but they gave Melo a chance to rewrite his ending, and he took full advantage. After Portland, Melo joined the Los Angeles Lakers for the 2021-2022 season, reuniting with his longtime friend LeBron James. It was a dream. 2 high school phenoms, both from the legendary 2003 draft class, finally teaming up in their twilight years to chase a ring. But again, reality had proven cruel to Melo. The Lakers struggled all year. Injuries piled up, chemistry issues persisted, and the roster just didn't click. Despite the chaos, Melo quietly did his job, shooting over 37% from 3 and averaging 13 points per game. He embraced the veteran role, always ready when his number was called. He even had games where he looked like vintage Melo, dropping 20+ with clutch buckets. But the Lakers missed the playoffs, and it was clear the window was closing fast. That season ended up being Melo's final run in the NBA. He didn't announce his retirement immediately, but as the months passed, it became more evident. The league had moved on, and so had he. So in 2023, he officially retired. No farewell tour, no drama, just a heartfelt video message to fans, thanking the game that gave him everything. It's hard to define Carmelo Anthony's career in simple terms. He was never an NBA champion, but he was a 10-time All-Star, a 6-time All-NBA selection, a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, and one of the purest scorers the game has ever seen. His jab step, his mid-range pull-up, his ability to get a bucket out of nothing, all that made him special. But what's just as memorable as his stats is his journey. From a kid raised in the projects of Baltimore to a national champion at Syracuse, from a teenage rookie lighting up Denver to a global icon in New York, and finally to the wise veteran in Portland and LA. He never reached the heights many thought he would, never got that elusive ring, never made a finals appearance after 2009. And yes, there were moments when his stubbornness, pride, and tunnel vision might have held him back, but there's no denying the impact he made. Melo was the type of player who could light up the scoreboard and silence an arena with a single shot. He gave fans unforgettable moments, carried bad teams on his back, and remained true to himself, even when the game changed around him. He was flawed, no doubt, but also fearless, passionate, and uniquely Melo. And beyond his NBA career, there was one place where Carmelo Anthony always delivered at the highest level: Team USA. When the NBA world criticized him, when franchises debated his value, when rotations shortened and roles changed, Team USA was where Melo found freedom. It was where he reminded everyone of just how unstoppable he could be. His journey with USA basketball began in 2004, when he was just a rookie in the NBA. That team, lacking chemistry and cohesion, famously fell short and took home bronze at the Athens Olympics. Melo barely played in that tournament, but he watched and learned. He took that disappointment personally. By the time the 2008 Redeem team assembled, Carmelo had become a vital piece of the roster, playing alongside greats like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Dwayne Wade. Melo stepped up as a consistent scoring threat and a leader. He wasn't just along for the ride, he was a force. Team USA stormed through the competition and brought home gold from Beijing, restoring America's basketball dominance. Then came the 2012 London Olympics. Melo was no longer just one of the guys. He was now a cornerstone. He dropped 37 points in just 14 minutes against Nigeria, setting a U.S. Olympic record for points in a game. That moment, pure and electric, reminded everyone that when Melo gets hot, it's over. There was nothing anyone could do. He capped off his international legacy with a third gold medal in Rio 2016, becoming the first male basketball player in history to win 3 Olympic golds. The tournament was emotional for Melo. He knew it would be his last time wearing the red, white, and blue. After their final win, he teared up in the post-game interview, speaking not just as an athlete, but as a man who gave everything for his country. Anything but Olympic gold medal would have been viewed as a massive failure by the U.S. men's basketball team. But that doesn't mean that members of Team USA felt anything less than elation Sunday, after clinching gold with a 99-66 win over Serbia. In the immediate wake of that victory in Rio, no player was more emotional than Carmelo Anthony, who became the first men's basketball player with 3 gold medals. As his teammates celebrated on the court around him, the 32-year-old Knicks forward declared his Olympic career to be over. He also used the moment to call for national unity, in another expression of political activism in which he has recently engaged. He officially retired from professional basketball in May 2023, and by then, his status as a Team USA legend was already etched in stone. Even though he didn't get the fairy tale ending in the NBA, his Olympic journey was as close to perfect as it gets. So how do we wrap up Carmelo Anthony's story? We go back to the original question. Why did this NBA star never reach his full potential? The truth is, full potential is a tricky phrase. If we're judging by championships, then yes, he fell short. He never hoisted the Larry O'Brien Trophy, never led a team to the promised land. Critics will always circle around that one missing piece, but if we're talking about cultural impact, unforgettable moments, and pure basketball talent, then Carmelo Anthony fulfilled something far greater. He was a scoring machine, an Olympic hero, a voice for his community, and a player who did it all his way. He wasn't LeBron, he wasn't Kobe, he wasn't Durant, he was Melo. He brought his own flavor to the game. ISO heavy, mid-range mastery, back to the basket footwork that made defenders look foolish. He came up during a golden era and held his own against the best. Maybe he didn't get the rings, but he got respect from players, coaches, fans, and international audiences. That matters. In a league that changes fast, Melo stayed true to himself. That might have cost him certain accolades, but it also made him unforgettable. Not everyone finishes with a perfect stat sheet, but the greats leave behind stories. Legends leave behind feelings. If you ever watch Melo catch the ball on the wing, jab step 3 times, and rise up for a silky jumper, you felt something. That was greatness. That was Melo. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more deep dives into NBA legends, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Drop a comment below. Where do you rank Carmelo Anthony all time? Also, if you haven't seen our video on Kevin Durant's roller coaster of a career, that one's a must watch. Check it out next. We'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay hoopin'.
I'd rather guard LeBron, Kobe, T-Mac before Melo. Like, cause he bulldog. He a bulldog.
The first time guarding Melo, funny story, Danny was originally supposed to play. We get a call that Danny slips in his bathtub. Guys will say like, oh, you got Melo-itis today, huh? So like now I gotta guard him and I'm like,
why you didn't slip out the shower?
wait, what? Bro, Melo went for 40.
Other cats, they gonna finesse they 30. He gonna make you feel this 30.
He hit me with everything. 3 ball, deep 3 ball, mid-range, post-game.
He gonna be physical. He gonna post you up. He gonna hit you with a shoulder in the chest. You gonna be hurting after the game.
After games, literally, bro, I would have ice bag here, like ice bag on my knees, sitting in a cold tub, like.